Welcome to Playback with another episode of History. Today, we've got a real mystery for you, one that was hidden at the bottom of the sea for 2,000 years. It's the story of a device so advanced, so completely out of its time, that finding it was like discovering a ghost from the future, hiding in our distant past. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if I told you the answer is very, very real, and that it completely changes the story we thought we knew about the ancient world? So where does a story like this even begin? Well, like a lot of great mysteries, it all started by pure chance. The year is 1901. A team of Greek sponge divers gets blown way off course by a nasty storm. They take shelter near this tiny island, Antikythera, and when the storm clears, they dive down and find the jackpot, an ancient Roman shipwreck just littered with treasure. But tucked away among all these priceless marble and bronze statues, they pulled up something else, just a corroded, kind of unassuming green lump. Little did they know, this one piece would turn out to be more valuable than all the other treasures combined. And here's where the puzzle gets even trickier. The moment they brought this calcified chunk up from the depths, the change in pressure and air caused it to dry out and crack. It shattered into 82 separate pieces. So right from the start, this thing was a mystery that had literally broken itself apart. And can you believe this? At first, nobody paid it any attention at all. Back at the museum in Athens, all the archaeologists were, freaking out over the incredible life-size statues. And those 82 fragments, they got shoved into a corner, basically dismissed as a bunch of green rocks. The single greatest discovery from that shipwreck was just hiding in plain sight. But then, about a year later, that's when we get our first big clue. This is the moment a quiet observation just turns the entire field of history completely on its head. An archaeologist, Valerios Stias, is looking closely at one of the fragments, and he sees something that makes no sense. The faint outline of a gear wheel. Now, just look at this timeline. The ship went down somewhere around 100 BCE, but the kind of precision gears he was looking at, we thought that technology wasn't invented for another 1,400 years with the massive cathedral clocks in medieval Europe. This discovery wasn't just surprising, it was scandalous. For the scientists back then, this was absolutely world-shattering. This quote here just nails the feeling perfectly. Finding this mechanism then was like cracking open a pharaoh's tomb and finding a jet engine inside. It was that impossible. For decades, the mechanism stayed a puzzle, its secrets just locked inside that corroded bronze. It really wasn't until our time, with our technology, that we could finally look inside and see the ghost in the machine. Using incredibly advanced 3D scanning tech, you can think of it like a souped-up hospital CT scanner. Scientists were finally able to see inside the fragments without damaging them. They built a complete digital model of every single gear, every inscription, every tiny tooth. And what they've found, wow, it was absolutely breathtaking. This thing wasn't just a clock. It was a complex mechanical computer. With one turn of a hand crank, it could predict solar and lunar eclipses, track 2 different calendars, and even count down to the next Olympic Games. This was an astronomical calculator of staggering genius. And if you want to understand just how sophisticated this was, get this. The ancient Greeks knew the moon's orbit isn't perfect. It seems to speed up and slow down. To account for that, they built this incredibly clever system, a pin-and-slot mechanism, where one gear physically makes another turn at a variable speed. It's a concept so brilliant it wouldn't be seen again in Europe for over 1,000 years. So, of course, that leads us to the next big question in our mystery. Who? Who in the ancient world had the mind, the knowledge, and the sheer skill to create a masterpiece like this? Well, we don't have a nameplate, but the evidence points to a couple of prime suspects. The first is the astronomer Hipparchus. He lived on Rhodes, which was a center for this kind of science, and the math used in the machine to predict the moon's wonky orbit, it lines up perfectly with his theories. The other main theory is that it came from the tradition of the legendary Archimedes. We know from ancient writers he built these incredible mechanical spheres that modeled the solar system. This mechanism could be the next and greatest evolution of his work. But this brings us to what might be the most haunting question of all. If they could build this in 100 BCE, why did this incredible knowledge just evaporate? Why did the world have to wait until the Renaissance to see anything even close to it again? Well, the answer, it seems, is a sobering reminder of how fragile knowledge really is. This was an elite technology. Very few people knew how to make it. Then, as the Roman world fell into chaos and instability, that chain of master to apprentice was broken. The skills died out. Great libraries, like the one in Alexandria, were destroyed. And precious bronze? That was far more useful melted down to make swords and shields. The knowledge just faded away. And this timeline just puts that loss into such sharp focus. Look at that gap. For almost 1,500 years, in this specific field, the world went backward. Humanity literally forgot how to build something this advanced. And that teaches us a pretty humbling lesson. We love to think of history and progress as this unstoppable arrow, always moving forward and up. The Antikythera Mechanism is the ultimate proof that that just isn't true. Progress is not guaranteed. Knowledge can be lost. Ultimately, what this single device really reveals is a total shift in how we have to see the ancient world. The people who made this didn't just see gods and myths when they looked at the night sky. They saw a cosmos that was a beautiful, intricate machine, a system that followed rules that could be understood, calculated, and even predicted. And this device forces us to confront our own bias. There's a word for it: chronocentrism. It's that quiet, default assumption that we today are the pinnacle of progress, and that people in the past were just simpler. The Antikythera Mechanism quietly and elegantly shatters that assumption. I think this quote just says it all, really. The core idea of our digital age, that you can model the universe with a machine, it didn't begin with a silicon chip in California. It began right here, with bronze gears turning silently in a wooden box, 2,000 years ago. And so we leave our mystery there, with one final lingering question. If this one incredible device could be lost for so long, it just makes you wonder, what other secrets, what other forgotten technologies are still out there, buried in the sand or waiting for us at the bottom of the sea? Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you in the next episode.